I am about to part ways with my 2014 Retina base MacBook Pro. This is the lowest end MacBook Pro that you can buy. It has 128GB of storage, 8GB of RAM and a 2.6 GHz Intel i5 processor. I've had this computer for coming up to 4 years now, and never at one point whilst I've owned it has it felt slow or I felt like I'm using an old computer. I thought I'd do a video about whether or not you should go out and buy a 2014 MacBook Pro in 2021. In some use cases, I'm going to say that this is a really cheap way of entering the macOS ecosystem and getting a pretty good computer that you can just chuck in a backpack and take around with you for schoolwork, browsing the internet and like word processing. But if you want something a little bit more intensive, this definitely isn't the right device for you. And also, these can still be quite expensive. So I would say it's only worth buying if you can pick one up for under £400. I spent £500 on mine like 4 years ago, so they do hold their value fairly well. This MacBook uses a slightly older design now compared to the newer devices, so you can definitely tell that it's not a new model just from looking at it quickly. But I don't think that's a bad thing, and it definitely has aged well. It has the glowing Apple logo on the back, which I think looks great, and it's completely made of aluminium, so it's a very solid and durable machine. The whole time I've owned it, it's not been kept in a case, and I just chuck it in a backpack and take it to university with me. My two favourite things about this computer, which are no more on the newer computers, are MagSafe and the port selection. Countless times I have fallen over the cable and not pulled the laptop off of my desk, which is just great, and I know I'm going to miss that. This Mac has a HDMI port, 2 USB ports and an SD card port. This is great for any university or creative workflow where you need to plug an HDMI cable into a projector to do a quick presentation or something. The Retina display holds up really great. I've never had any issues with brightness, viewing angles or anything like that. I think this screen holds up really well compared to my newer MacBook Air. The main thing that I would say to be cautious of with the display is screen delamination. Apple gave all of their old laptops an extended screen warranty of 4 years, but if you're buying a 2014 MacBook Pro, this extended warranty is no longer valid. So when you are buying one, you need to make sure there are no signs of screen delamination, because otherwise it can be quite an expensive fix. I actually picked up my laptop really cheap because it was heavily delaminated and the owner didn't realise that it could be repaired for free by Apple. The keyboard on this thing is great. I would choose this keyboard over the butterfly keyboard every time. I must admit, I do prefer the new keyboards on my MacBook Air, but up until this point I've always loved the keyboard on my 2014 MacBook Pro. The design and keyboard is very premium, and you wouldn't know that you're looking at a computer that's coming up to 7 years old. This keyboard is missing the touch bar, but like, who cares? I don't want a touch bar still anyway. So this MacBook is supported for macOS Big Sur, which is great. It means that you'll be able to use it for another few years, and due to it having an SSD, it still powers on really quickly and feels responsive when going about light tasks. So when using Safari, it's not the quickest to open, but it's not slow either. It works great with a few tabs open, and I never have any issues with web browsing. You can easily have a YouTube tab, a Facebook tab and a Google Docs tab open without any problems. Most of the Microsoft package works really well with this. PowerPoint, Outlook and Word are really quick and snappy, and I've never had a problem with any of those. However, if you want to use Excel and work with large data sets, then this is not the laptop for you. It's almost impossible to work on Excel with pivot tables, formulas and large data. It just beach balls and lags and doesn't work at all. Chrome also makes this laptop struggle. I rarely use Chrome, so it's not really an issue for me. As soon as I do turn Chrome on, I can hear the fans kicking on and the fans going woo, and I can just hear the computer really struggling. I've edited hundreds of videos using this laptop using Final Cut Pro, genuinely like hundreds, lots of 4K 24p videos. This isn't perfect, but it's very doable. It can easily edit a 1080p video at 60 frames per second, but 4K does make it struggle a bit more, especially high frame rate 4K. So if you want to edit 4K videos, this isn't really the machine for you, but if you want to do some light hobby editing of 1080p videos, then yeah, this computer can do it. It does get really hot, the fans get very loud, and whenever I'm exporting a video, I'd always make the joke that I could fry an egg on my laptop. It gets that hot, it's like hot to touch. I do like Photoshop work on this Mac. It works fine really. It beach balls somewhat regularly, but it's manageable, and it's a fairly consistent device to do Photoshop work with. Gaming, I wouldn't even bother. I've played one game on here, which is City State, and it just doesn't work, and it doesn't seem like it's a very demanding game. So to conclude performance, if your requirements are school themed or light usage, such as web browsing and word processing, then this will work perfect for you. But if you want something a bit more intensive, then this really isn't the device for you. My Mac now comes up with a warning saying that the battery needs replacing, and I've got friends who have a 2014 MacBook Pro, and they also have the same warning. So I can get about 2 hours of light usage from a full charge, but when it was new, it would be like 6 hours. I never really had a problem with battery. In my opinion, if you're going to buy a 2014 MacBook Pro, you should buy it if you've got the technical knowledge to replace the battery, or buy it from a reputable reseller who refurbishes the devices. You want to get a Mac that's either got a good battery in it, or you're able to put a good battery in it yourself. So if you've got this far through the video and you're thinking, yeah, a 2014 Retina Macbook Pro is perfect for me, here's a few things to consider before you go out and buy. 128GB of storage isn't enough, and it just isn't ideal at all. I personally carry around a 128GB memory stick everywhere I go with this computer, and always had it plugged in, and when I'm at home it would always be connected to a 1TB hard drive. And also be careful who you buy these from. So I wouldn't buy it from a cash brokers or a Facebook marketplace unless you've got the technical know-how to change the battery and clean the fans. If you buy from a reputable reseller of refurbished Macs, they're likely to have cleared out the fans for you to prevent it getting too hot, and they're also going to double check the battery to make sure that it's in acceptable condition. So I hope this video was informative in your decision as to whether a 2014 MacBook Pro is the right device for you or not. I'm sad to see this go, however I'm really excited. I've got an M1 MacBook Air at the moment, and it's just getting better and better as I use it more and more, and I'm really enjoying it. So thank you for watching, catch you later.